You're watching Startup Central with me, Nayantara Rai. This is the only show of its kind dedicated, of course, to startups, innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, disruption. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's here on your favorite channel every weekday at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the stakeholders of the community that we get on the show, Team Startup Central thrives on constructive criticism. We want to keep hearing from you on how to take this show to the next level. So keep writing in. We love getting them. suc@etnow.tv. That is our email address. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our big story going into the weekend. Exactly a week ago, we had interviewed Dunzo's co-founder going into what would have been Maharashtra's first weekend lockdown. Since then, many other parts of the country, including the national capital, Delhi, are looking at a full weekend lockdown. Uttar Pradesh, for example, has now said every Sunday will be a lockdown. Karnataka is looking at it. Bihar is looking at it. And all of this is also being done on the back of e-commerce, knowing that the citizens can try and can avail essential services, be it food, be it medicines, through e-commerce companies. But there is, of course, a strain on the system. I'm going to be discussing that and more with our guest, Vaibhav Khandelwal, the co-founder and CTO at ShadowFax. Why ShadowFax? Because ShadowFax specializes in providing last-mile connectivity to the e-commerce companies. Vaibhav, I really appreciate you taking the time out for being live with us today on Startup Central. A lot riding on e-commerce companies just so that those locked in can still get food, medicines, essentials. How has it been for you folks at ShadowFax?
Thank you, Nayantara, for having me here. It is again a roller coaster ride, something we had done a year back. We are seeing some good requests coming in from offline players as well to get things moved from the online center. While from a demand perspective, technically online logistics or e-commerce is the only available option right now. And that has kept us on our toes to ramp up our fleet, to ramp up our mechanisms and scale our systems accordingly. But at the same time, we are also crunched from the supply that we are getting. The delivery partners on ground, it's difficult to get them on the right track, on the right platform at this point of time. With all the testing and vaccination programs being there, from our perspective, we would really definitely appreciate if government can actually characterize us as frontline workers, our delivery partners as frontline workers, and they could be promoted in the vaccination program. So a lot of challenges around the supply pieces happening. From a demand perspective, our phones are ringing with all the demand that it can take in.
And initially, for example, there was confusion beginning with Maharashtra that only those, if they have been got a negative RT-PCR test, will be allowed. But then we all know that the pressure that is there on laboratories across India, how test results are also taking 24 to 48 hours. We had seen the founder of Zomato himself, Dipinder Goyal, take to Twitter to talk about the confusion, not knowing whether food can be delivered after 8 p.m., all of that. Vaibhav, I can now ask you, going into Maharashtra's second weekend lockdown and the first for many others, like in Delhi, like in Bangalore, like in Lucknow and all of that, is there at least clarity on the delivery partners being on ground, the kind of timings, etc.?
So if I compare it to the earlier lockdowns that were there, I would say it's slightly better in terms of the clarity and the positioning of what all is allowed and what all is not. Having said that, different areas in the country, they are framing rules in a slightly different manner, including the timings of the lockdown as well. Getting these tests done as well is a decent Herculean task for us as well. And to be honest, yes, there is a bit of confusion, but I think the authorities have learned better from the earlier instances that are there. And we do see a good positive directions in their decision making, wherein they consider the e-commerce companies, they consider the essential goods providers, and they are proactively responding to that. I think after this weekend, we do believe that there will be a very strong clarity across the board on what can work and what cannot.
So tell us a little bit of the last week, what it has been like, how the e-commerce companies and those providing last mile connectivity like your startup ShadowFax are better geared up. The idea is here to talk to the viewers, to talk to the consumers when they know that they're locked in, what they should brace themselves for.
So there is a lot of stress in terms of the pile-up of deliveries that are there. Our team is actually trying very hard that we could deliver as much as possible before the lockdown initiates. And even in the facilities that we operate, the hubs and the dispatch centers that we operate, we are getting our staff trained. Our staff tested for the RT-PCR. So from a consumer perspective, yes, it is slightly difficult journey. From a overall order perspective, things have increased, ballooned significantly, and the supply that is there needs to be ramped up in a very quick time at this end. Adding to this, the noise of getting right testing centers done, adding to the pressure of lack of clarity on what can be made or what cannot be. Is a bit of a burden. But yes, I think the entire ecosystem is now well prepared, and we have much better learnings from the last time. So we are seeing, with IPL coming in, we are seeing actually very good orders from food vertical actually flowing into our platform. The grocery orders, just like the last lockdown, people have started stacking up things with an understanding that there is a chance of a prolonged lockdown as well. So these are the patterns that we are observing, and while I feel that we are better prepared this time from a thought process, from a planning perspective, rather than being taken as a shock last time, but still there are a lot of nuances, and customers should brace for a bit of discontinuity in their
I could come in there. So Vaibhav, if I could come in there now, basically, if you take out Maharashtra, in the rest of the country, and that also in Maharashtra and Bombay, it's about a voluntary lockdown, right? That's the way they're describing it, a curfew. But if you look at other parts, the lockdown is primarily over the weekends. I know it's early days, but what are the expectations? Like, would there be a fatigue that will come in by Monday, Tuesday, and you might see people wanting to go back to markets, which is, of course, not in good advice. You're also talking about states thinking about weekly markets and all of that. So, given all of this, can you give me an insight? People want to use e-commerce for food only? Are they looking at medicines also? Phone chargers? What kind of items?
Sure. So, to be honest, with the conversations that I'm having with my parents, they say that, people are hardly bothered about this lockdown, to be honest. And you talk about fatigue, but in general, people are just willing to get out and roam in the area to get these products out there. But if you see the overall macro picture, what we are seeing is that there are very high numbers of medicine and grocery orders that are flowing onto our platform. We are seeing some good traction on the food perspective because of the IPL and the concept that people would now are being wary of getting their cooks and maids in place here. But at the same time, one good thing that we are observing right now, which is as compared to the earlier lockdown, was that people are slightly more comfortable in ordering food online. Which is a good traction as which wasn't the case in the earlier lockdown here. The grocery and medicines, people are flocking more in that direction. In terms of e-commerce, there is a heavy burden on us to try and attempt and clear all our dependencies during the weekdays. That has extensively strained the network here, but I think we'll be able to match it up to the demands that are there.
Okay, Vaibhav, I know you have a lot of work to get back to. Appreciate you taking the time out from your busy schedule. Weekend lockdown coming up in so many metropolitan cities. I'm sure it's going to be a whirlwind of a ride for you this Saturday, Sunday. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.